Run your next PB at the Gold Coast Marathon in 2023. Fast, flat and scenic. There is an event distance for everyone, from the full marathon to the kids 2 and 4 kilometre junior dash. Enter now at goldcoastmarathon.com.au.
That your skin can bring you so much pain. Now I hear you say you got the best of both ways. Won't you come and take a walk in my shoes and tell me if you take my place? Undercover of my skin, I've heard all your names. If it's all the same, I'll keep on walking.
Welcome to episode 292 of the Inside Running Podcast. It's been a big week in the world of distance running. We've seen world records and Australian records fall, and 16-year-old Cameron Myers continues to make headlines. We'll be discussing all of that, as well as training talk thanks to the Gold Coast Marathon. The boy from Echuca, Moama, has just returned from a business trip to Japan with Lululemon, so he won't be joining us, but we have a big name replacing him. But firstly, welcome to the 214 man, who is currently on a training camp up in Noosa. How are you, Moose?
I'm good, mate. I doubled today.
I saw that.
I am thinking this is more like a training camp. I reckon I can pull it off.
Does it bring back memories of when you were actually running up there and you're fit?
I'm not sure I've ever been here fit before, but running doubles brings back memories of being a proper athlete, because you change your day for it. Like, you're not having a beer at 2:30, or you're not smashing down some sort of like high or like intolerable food before you have to double run. And then you finish the run, you feel a little bit more tired, and your whole day changes, your whole mindset changes when you're running twice a day.
So you're doing much work up there?
No, I'm trying not to anyway. This is supposed to be a holiday, like a proper holiday, and it's been good. Like, the weather's been shit. It's been raining like literally non-stop. But we've found stuff to do. Lucky Pia loves swimming, so we've been in the swimming pool even though it's raining.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's introduce our guest. But I'm going to put you on the spot, Moose, because this week's guest, she's a regular on the show, and but you know her best, and so it'd be interesting to see what things you would include in her intro outside of like PBs and other running related achievements. So over to you.
Yeah, well, you actually summed it up quite well about 5 minutes ago. You said she's a little bit shitter version of Jess Stenson. So she's a mum, she's a physio, but she's not quite as good of a runner as Jess is.
Threw me under the bus there, Moose.
No, you've done well. I reckon you've nailed it. I
did not say that, did I, Ellie?
No, that definitely sounds like something Julian would say about me.
Well, I'll mention your running results, Ellie. So in 2010, you ran 35:56 to come 8th at Zatopek. So that was pretty good, wasn't it? So top 10 in the country.
Yeah,
that year
progressed a bit since then, I think.
8th place with 35:56. That doesn't even get you in the field anymore.
No.
You won Nail Can Hill race that year as well, so that was a good year for your running. Since then, you've turned into a great 10,000 metre runner. So I know you like to tell people you're a marathoner, but I had a look at your world athletics profile, and in your top 10 best results, 4 of them are from 10K races, 3 of them are marathon, and 3 of them are half marathon. So I'm not sure.
Right.
I'm not sure how you get away calling yourself a marathoner with that sort of lineup of top 10. You're the 4th best OK netballer in your family.
That is true, actually.
Croaks, she has a really weird autistic dog, hates affection, will not come near people. Sort of proves dogs are very much like their owner theory. She's the mother of my daughter's best friend. So it looks like we're going to have to spend more time together in the future. Assistant to the manager of Run Strong Online Coaching. Somehow locked down the best looking man ever to come out of Central Victoria. That's probably your greatest performance including anything running related.
True. I'm batting above. For sure.
She transitioned from the flakiest, least committed person I've ever met to the exact opposite of that. There's never been a greater transformation of someone's sort of whole world. I don't think there has. I've never seen it anyway. Queen of Surf Coast Track Club and has an innate ability to pump up the tyres of those who have had the worst races on the weekend. Incredibly humble and the cruisiest athlete on the surface, with a fierce competitive drive and massive ego lurking underneath. Very rarely.
Seems like someone else wrote all the nice things and then you've added something to them.
I don't think we both agree that's not a criticism. Very rarely shows that side to those outside her bubble, except on race day. Approaches training with a no bullshit approach, hates shortcuts and those who make excuses. I would say that she's the definition of an old school tough athlete. Would fit in if you threw her into like a 1980s male only long run, like running in Canberra, that sort of vibe, folks.
Yeah.
You were around then, you would have seen it.
I reckon I whinge too much for that.
Yeah, I don't think
I'd
you'd
be like, shut this girl up.
And just for some background, like we became friends after we were working together at the running store, but you invited me to go on a New Zealand ski trip with Jose and a couple of your other buddies after I'd just broken up with a girlfriend. And that's how we became friends. I don't know if you remember that. That was fun. No snow.
Just put it to the back of a memory.
Me and Paul Carmody enjoyed our time. We were the two single guys on that trip.
We basically brought you for him. We needed someone to be Carmody's night friend. And we all wanted to go home.
Well, that was thorough, Moose.
I
didn't expect quite well. Yeah. I didn't really put you on. I didn't really put you on the spot, did I? I told you about an hour ago that you're going to introduce Ellie.
What? That didn't sound like it was off the cuff.
No, well, the first bit was off the cuff. Yeah, the bit about a bit shitter than Jess.
Oh well, that was you, not me.
No, but welcome back, Ellie. Welcome back, and thanks for coming on. I thought it was a good opportunity to get you on because since London, Julian's had a few sort of pot shots at you. So your opportunity tonight to get back at him.
Yeah, this will be good. When he does a moose on the loose about me, at least I'll be able to fire back today rather than I usually listen to it while I'm running, just get really angry. But
the two that I remember was one, he had a go at your training, one of your early training sessions after London about cooking it. And the other one was when you went to pick up your bib at AV that you didn't basically say your name because you just assumed that they would know who you were.
That was actually Brady that said that one.
Yeah, that was Brady. I went, and then someone else said it the other day that you went to the coffee van at Bendigo and you didn't even give them a name because you assumed that they knew who you were. These are just coffee people, Ellie.
I was going to tell you guys about that. I didn't know they needed a name and then called me back.
Wait, who the fuck are you again? How am I supposed to... Like, they're just a couple of, like, little coffee baristas in Bendigo. I don't...
Yeah.
All right, well, let's get on to a bit of running. So, Ellie, I want to just chat a bit about post-London. So, obviously, London didn't go the way that you wanted. And how did that sort of month after London look for you in terms of, like, recovering physically, and like how was the motivation to sort of get back training again?
Yeah, like physically, I actually pulled up really well. I wasn't particularly sore, and I jumped on the plane, at 6 a.m. or something the morning after the race. So I thought I was going to be really sore doing that, but I actually, I pulled up okay. Mentally, I think I definitely needed a bit of a break. So I think I had a week and a half or so off running completely, which was nice. Just, getting up in the morning, not having to plan your whole day around running. And then, so got back into it fairly quickly, I would say. I think I had a few days of just jogging, half an hour or so, and then a week of easy running, I think, and then got straight back into sessions the week after that. So I've been back training for a few weeks now properly, and I feel good. I feel like, when you come back after a marathon, it sort of, for me, it always takes, I reckon, 7 or 8 weeks to feel good again. So I feel like I'm not quite back, but I think I'm not too far off it. So I think London was about 5 or 6 weeks ago now, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So motivation's really high again. I've got some races coming up, and a disappointing result always, I think, makes you hungry to put, I think, like, for me, I'd be really happy this year if I can put a couple of decent 10 and half marathon times on the board, just to sort of feel like I'm back, because it's been a while since I've run a good 10K or a half marathon, just because, like, pre-Olympics with all the COVID, there actually weren't a lot of races. So I'm going to try and sort of focus on that for the next few months and see what I can do. But feeling good, disappointed, but I'm kind of over it now and ready to go again.
And so a lot of our listeners wouldn't have followed the Road to London series. And so for those people, like, you did get sick in the lead up, and it's a question for Julian as well. If you look back at that training block, outside of getting sick, is there anything that you would have changed or felt like was missing that you'll, change for the next marathon prep?
I don't think so, to be honest. Like, I actually thought the block went pretty well. I probably did as much mileage as I could tolerate at the time, just because I was coming off not much of a base. So we were still almost building as that block went on. So next block, I mean, we've talked about some different things that we might try in the future. I just have to sort of work it out logistically with Tiggy now. Like, we have had a chat about maybe trying some double threshold days and things like that, which I'm keen to do, and I'm keen to try and do a little bit more mileage. I've just pretty much stopped feeding now, so I think that will help with that as well. So I mean, I don't think we'll change anything drastically in this next few months, but I'm sure down the track, like, Jules always likes to try new things and kind of adjust the way we do things a little bit, but the core philosophy will still be the same. I guess it'll just be trying to build on that last block. Yeah.
And since London, you raced one of the AV races. Happy with that?
Yeah, I was. Like, I was a little bit disappointed I didn't beat Julian's time, because we had a bit of a chat about that beforehand. But I was happy. Like, that was first race back coming off a marathon. Cross country is, I reckon, a pretty tough way to get back into it. I mean, it's nice because there's no focus on pace or anything like that, but it really sort of shocks your legs back to running hard again. So that was good fun, and I like the XCR races are just so much fun, and we've got a really good girls team this year for Geelong, as well as the guys who've sort of been building for the last couple of years. So that was good, but back on the roads over the next couple of months, mixed in with some cross country stuff, so that should be fun.
Yeah, and I've got one more question before, I guess, if Julian wants to ask more questions, or we go into your training week. But what's sort of coming up? So I know you've got Launceston half this coming weekend, and then Gold Coast half in like 4 weeks. But the second half of the year, like, is the World Half Marathon Champs on the radar, or will you focus on trying to get a marathon in, to qualify for Paris between now and the end of the year?
Yeah. So the big focus will obviously be the marathon. So anything that I do between now and April next year, or whenever the qualifying period finishes, will be based around what marathons I'm doing. So at the moment, I'm looking at hopefully doing Valencia at the start of December, which just gives me a bit more time, I think, to recover from London and get a bit fitter before I go into my next marathon block. So World Half Marathon Champs, I mean, I would have to qualify for that anyway, and I haven't really thought about that as to where that fits in. Is that in October, did you say?
Yeah, it's 1st of October. Which obviously I think, if you run a good one on the Gold Coast or at Launceston, because I think it's is it they take 4 and 3 count, or something like that?
Yeah, something like that. I did World Half Marathon Champs a few years ago, and it was really fun. It'll just, I think the only problem with that would be 2 trips to Europe. Like it's far enough out from the marathon that it probably wouldn't matter, but it would still interrupt your training block a little bit. So I'm not sure about that. I'm pretty keen to do some domestic races. As many sort of 10K and half marathon distance ones as I can fit in, but ultimately the marathon will be my main goal, and I'll probably look at doing another one next year as well. I think it's going to become, making that team's going to be so difficult that I think we're all going to be probably trying to race right up until the end of the qualifying period to try and get that 3rd spot. Everything else will be geared around that. So I haven't really looked too far ahead at the moment, other than trying to work out which marathon I'm going to do first.
Anything you want to add there, Coach?
Oh, not answers, but I got 2 questions. The first one is, you're what, 13 months? How old's Tiggy?
11 months.
11 months. Has running...
Don't even know how old Pier's best friend is.
Yeah, they're all about that. They're all about...
She's nearly 1.
Nearly 1. Has running as a mum been easier or harder than you thought it would be when you got pregnant?
So far, maybe easier. I don't know that would be everybody's experience. I think
you don't need to make it inoffensive.
That
just
might piss some people off.
Answer it honestly.
Yeah, it's harder than before I had a child, but it's not. I was preparing myself for the absolute worst. I think no sleep, really difficult logistically. I think sleep has been the biggest thing for us that has probably made it easier than I thought, in that Tig's actually a really good sleeper, and it's pretty reliable as far as, I know, I've had to change my sleeping habits a bit, but I still know how to get a decent sleep each night. And as far as doing my doubles and stuff in the afternoon, she's pretty reliable with when she has her afternoon sleep. So that allows me to do that during that time. I think it's probably going to get harder as she gets older, but so far it's been, not too bad. It was hard at the start, and I've had to work really hard to get fit again, but no harder than, people that have had a big chunk of time out with injury, I wouldn't say, or recovering from surgery or something like that. So it's taken a long time. We're nearly 12 months and I still feel like I'm not quite back to full fitness, but I thought it was going to be worse, I think.
What about a strength perspective, in the gym? Have you noticed a change in what you can do, or do you feel like you're back to strength there?
No, I think I'm a lot weaker still, but I think that's also partly because I haven't been able to get to the gym as much. So before I had her, I was actually really diligent with going to the gym twice a week, and I was doing a fairly intense program, whereas now I do most of my strength stuff at home and occasionally get to the gym. So it's a lot lower level anyway. But even when I have been able to get to the gym, I'm nowhere near as strong. And that was the big thing I think I noticed. Particularly in probably the first 6 months coming back, I was so weak. And I think even my muscles are only really just coming back now in my legs. I felt like I was still quite wasted through my legs for a long time. And yeah, I think I've still got a bit of a way to go there, but it's coming back.
And what new changes to nutrition specifically have you made on advice from like the dietitian now that you're as being a mother, like as a breastfeeding mother? Because I was interested in this when you told me that.
Yeah, that was actually that was pretty crazy how much food I had to eat to be able to do both. So I started seeing Jess pretty much as soon as I started running, just because I was really conscious of making sure I was eating enough that it wouldn't training wouldn't affect my milk supply, or just with injury risk. Like, you hear so many stories of women coming back after having children and getting bone stress injuries, partly because of like just insufficient calories, but also obviously the baby's taking all the nutrients from you, so all of your calcium and iron and things like that. So I worked with Jess the whole way through. I was seeing her probably maybe every 2 weeks to try, because I was struggling to maintain my weight. So once my training increased, I kept losing weight, and I couldn't get back to what I know is a sort of healthy weight for me. So I was basically just eating like a carb load amount of food every single day, but I also had to be conscious of getting like extra nutrients, so much more protein than I had before, and more fat than I had before, as well as a really high carb diet, and it got to the point where I was eating like I was having like 2 custard desserts every night. Like, everything was doubled up basically. So 2 bowls of Cocoa Pops in the afternoon, and then 2 rice custards after dinner, and then supper before I went to bed, and then 2
you eat like a 10-year-old boy.
That was exactly what it was like. It was like a teenage boy's diet, where it was like I couldn't get enough in, and I was really hungry as well, but also I got to the point where I was really having to force it down, just because but once I did that, and I was actually able to maintain my weight and get it back up a little bit, that like it's better now that I've sort of about to stop, or pretty much stopped feeding. But it was crazy. Like, if people saw what I was eating in a day, they would have been fascinated. But Jess was awesome at helping with that. Like, she definitely saved me from getting injured, I reckon.
So do you have a basement weight that you're like not allowed to get to, and then if you do, you have to go up? Like, how do you decide how light you get?
Well, it was probably more me. Like, I knew what I weighed before I got pregnant. So when we were training for Tokyo in 2021, we were doing a lot of weight-based stuff because of all the heat training we were doing, and like hydration measurements and stuff. So I knew roughly what I weighed then, and that's me pretty lean, probably leading into the Olympics. So then, like, once I started training again, like, I could feel that I was just losing weight, so I kept an eye on it, and then I actually got lighter than that, and I tried to get back up above that, basically. So for me, I feel like I want to stay probably around that or slightly above that at all times, because I know that that's healthy for me. And I feel like it's also actually tricky to tell when you're breastfeeding as well, because you're not getting your period. You don't actually know if you're going into that state of reds, say. You don't have that feedback. So I basically just went off what I knew was healthy for me, and then tried to get back up to that.
Yeah, interesting. All right, last question. Sorry, Croaks.
There you go.
I didn't ask my second one yet. Are you having any doubts that your best has passed?
No.
Okay.
Well, Cross should, that was a great run. And, if anything, you're going to be fitter in the future than you were at World Cross, because you hadn't been running for that long.
Well, she said no, Croaks. Even if you might think yes, she said no. You don't have to convince her.
I don't like. There's no reason.
I mean, your best marathon was 4 years ago, Ellie. Yeah,
I know, and all of my times, I haven't run a good time since 2019. Like, I'm well aware of that, but I still, I don't think that going through pregnancy and childbirth changes anything. Like, I know it does, obviously, for that time period, and it takes a while to come back from it. And, you know, speaking to some of the other girls who've been through the same thing, they've said, you know, sometimes it might take you 2 years to get back to where you were. But yeah, I know that I can do it. And we've got so many examples of people that have done it and come back stronger, faster than before. So yeah, no, I haven't ever really considered that, to be honest.
I've got a question in terms of how your weeks look at the moment. So are you just full-time mum, full-time athlete, or are you back working?
Yeah, no, I'm not back working yet. So I haven't got daycare at the moment. I'm on a waiting list, but it's pretty hard to get daycare down here, as I think it is in most places at the moment. So I haven't gone back to physio, and I really want to, if I can, try and just have another good crack at running before I do that. Just I think managing work with Tiggy, and like with it, we've got Run Strong coaching stuff as well. Like, I think I can sort of make it work, that I'm doing enough that I maybe don't need to go back to physio just yet, but at some point I will. And yeah, maybe once daycare is available, I might consider it, but I'm going to, for a little while longer, just keep doing it the way that I'm doing it.
Good call, I reckon. You only live once, and you can work and do all that stuff when you're like old, like I am.
Yeah, that's it.
All right, do you want to whip through your training week? So this would have been from 2 weeks out from Launceston to 1 week out from Launceston.
Yep, sure. So Monday morning, I just ran with the girls in Aynslee. So that was Bree, Lainey, and Cece, an hour. Monday arvo, I just did 6.5K on the treadmill. And then Tuesday, I didn't have a session on Tuesday because I'd done cross country Saturday and then a big long run Sunday. So Jules just gave me an extra day there. So I did 16K in the morning with 10-second hill reps. And then in the arvo, I did nothing. In the arvo, actually, I had to go and get an iron infusion. So I've got low iron again. So my extreme eating over the last 6 months actually hasn't helped my iron levels.
Cocoa Pops. Cocoa Pops, no good.
Well, you should have seen the amount of dairy and calcium I was eating. I think that affects your absorption, so I'm not really surprised. And so Tuesday arvo off. Wednesday morning I did a session with Jules in Anglesey. So we did a fartlek, 2 by 1 minute, 2 minute, 3 minute, 3 minute, 2 minute, 1 minute, or with a 1 minute jog in between. Jules smashed me on this one. I don't know, I just didn't feel very good this day. I mean, it wasn't too bad, but yeah, I felt like my legs just couldn't run any faster, and he was half wheeling me the whole time.
So
I got a question for you on that. So, like, you as her coach, when you obviously want to have, you want to do the workout yourself at, your level of fitness, and Ellie's competitive and she'll want to try and keep up with you. What do you do? Do you run slower so that she doesn't bury herself, or do you tell her to just drop off and not follow you? What happens there?
I'm not that much fitter than her. So on a bad day, she will be about even. Bad day for me will be about even. On a good day.
Well, what about that day when you had to stop?
I had a bad Achilles, mate.
I don't know. Convenient.
Yeah. So sometimes I get injured. But I'm quite happy to stay. If I'm feeling good, I'm quite happy to stay back, because I know, like, me doing a rep 20 meters in front, it's not really helping me that much. And it's definitely not helping her. And I think it's quite good, like, even for me, just to stay outside that danger zone, which is pushing that little bit harder.
Yeah.
And I mean, I do half step her when I'm feeling good, but not to a point. As soon as I start to get the feeling that things are going overboard in terms of her effort, I stop half wheeling. I move back to her spot and allow her to work at her pace. But there were certain times during this where she wasn't working hard enough, and I made, like, we ran a bit. I was in front of her a bit faster, encouraging her to work harder. Yeah. Like, Croaks, this is a pretty hard workout, right? The 1 minute efforts would you expect the to be able to talk to someone during a 1 minute effort of this workout?
No, not the ones. Because especially if you're doing it it's not standing recovery, is it? You're still jogging at a decent pace.
It was a jog, right?
Yeah.
So at the end, like probably about the 40-second mark of the first minute rep, or the second minute rep, so halfway through the workout, I dropped her. I was wondering, why the fuck are we going so slow? Like, I'm not that fit. And then she says, with me 10 meters in front, hey, so when are you going away again? I'm like, what the fuck? Why do you want to talk to me about this when we're in this? You're getting dropped. I can hear your breathing's very hard, like loud. I'm in front of you. You're clearly not worried about getting dropped, and you want to have a conversation with me. Like, that was an example of someone being too comfortable in that workout and clearly not sort of focusing. So sometimes it is good to have a coach there.
We'll see. So her last 1 minute rep was 2:53k pace, but that must mean, and then there's another one there that's like 3:11s.
Yeah, we got going on that last rep.
Yeah, it's a bit, that loop's very variable as well, because it's not hilly, but there's a few sort of ups and downs. So you like pace is kind of irrelevant. Like if you look at the gap pace on them, they all kind of are closer together.
So do you prescribe? So for this session for Ellie Moose, did you have prescribed paces, and if it wasn't prescribed paces, what sort of effort were the 1, 2s, and 3s?
No, I don't think I'd have prescribed anything. I think she knows well enough now. Like, 1s are going to be harder than the 2s, 2s are going to be harder than the 3s. And we got 36 minutes of running, so don't cook yourself in the first set. And I'm okay for here. Like, I think I said in the first couple that this is all right. Like, sometimes it's okay to work really hard, because these reps aren't that long. So I actually want you working hard in these. And I think we get a little too cautious sometimes. We only do 2 workouts a week. So they've got to count the workouts. There's no point doing one of your workouts a week that's in a grey zone. In my mind, you've got to provide stress in that workout. And so I was happy for her to work hard in this.
And these ones I do always find the hardest. Like, I feel like this is what got me fit, particularly when I was coming back and before cross country. Like, this was the kind of stuff that allowed me to get fit enough to make that team, because it is like you do work hard. Even if though Jules said halfway through he felt like I wasn't going hard enough, with only a minute jog recovery between every rep, particularly after, like, say the 3 minute reps, you get progressively more tired, and it does get really, really hard towards the end.
Yeah.
But yeah,
now the jog. Yeah. So I do 3-2-1s, but often with like standing or like really shuffle recovery. And yeah, it's a completely different session when you're doing them off a jog. Your heart rate just doesn't come down quite as much.
Yeah, and I think that's what we're trying to, like, we've changed a little bit of Ali's training. I reckon, like, we're not doing as much hard speed work that we used to. I don't think you enjoy it, Ali, and I don't think you ever got that much better from it.
I don't feel like it. Yeah, I feel like it doesn't achieve much with me.
Yeah. So
I feel like this is a way to get that effort level in, but I get more out of it.
Yeah. Well, you're running 5K pace in some of these efforts. So I guess you consider it, well, it's not true speed work, but it's pretty fast stuff. Like, if you're going to go
faster than 5K pace.
Yeah. If you're going to do like 800s K reps at 5K pace, like, it's just a bit shorter effort, but less rest. Yeah.
Anyway, it was a good one. And then Wednesday, Arvo, I did a double on the treadmill. Sorry, I've just lost my Strava. Wednesday, Arvo, double. And then Thursday, I just ran an hour in the morning. I didn't run Thursday. Yeah, this was a bit of a dramatic week. So Thursday, Arvo, Pia, Bree, Tiggy, and I were at the playground, and I fell off a ledge and rolled my ankle. And Yeah, my ankle was really swollen and sore, so I got on the treadmill Thursday arvo and I ran about for about 800 meters, and I was limping on it, and it felt just really stiff, and like it wasn't. I thought it might warm up, but it definitely wasn't warming up. If anything, it was getting worse, and I felt like I was limping, so I decided to ditch that run and then just give it a rest and try again in the morning. So Friday morning I ran from home, and it was actually pretty good. It was a bit stiff and sore at the start, but I'd done lots of ice compression, and I taped it before I ran just to give it a little bit more support, and I ran on a road. I didn't go on any trails or anything, so it ended up being okay, and I got through my run Thursday. So I did 16k, and then I did a few surges at the end just to test it because I knew I had a session the next day. Friday arvo 6k on the treadie, and then Saturday morning I met Jules again for another session. So Brett Coleman came along and did this one with us as well. He hasn't done a session in months, but he's just a freak.
I reckon it's more than months. I don't reckon he'd done a session in years. I just don't think he does workouts anymore.
Maybe he doesn't do sessions. He'd done Gels Park relay. That was the only sort of intensity I think he'd done. So we did 3x3k, and the instruction was don't focus too much on your heart rate. I want you to run half marathon effort. Did you say I could go a little bit harder, or did I just think that in my own head?
I don't remember saying that.
So the first one was 3:24, then 3:15, then 3:16, but the first one's kind of uphill, second one's downhill, and then the third one's pretty even. So my gap pace for all of them was actually quite even. And yeah, this one was good. I felt good. I felt like my legs were better than they felt on Wednesday. And once I got warmed up, it takes me a while, I think, to get warmed up into sessions, but once I got going, I actually felt quite good. So yeah, that was good. I don't know if that's half marathon pace, but
we'll find out, won't we?
Yeah. And then Jules also tried to really stir me up after the first one. I think he thought I was taking it too easy on the first rep, so he started trying to bait me with some comments that he knew would fire me up. So then I got rolling on the second rep.
It worked. It definitely worked. Brett Coleman was just running along quiet as a mouse, didn't say a thing. I don't think he wanted to poke the beast either.
And then Sunday morning, 28k, just loop around Anglesey with the group, and yeah, so that was fun. 145 for the week.
So what's the goal for Launceston, and are there any pacemakers?
Yeah, so there is a guy from Tassie who's offered to pace me. I don't really know. I almost don't want a pacer because I kind of want to just race it and see where I'm at. I don't know where my fitness is. I mean, I paced Nagoya to 71 before London, but I don't know. Jules pointed out to me on Saturday that I might not be back there yet, but I feel like I could. I'd love to try and run sub 71 basically. But I'm not sure if that's being unrealistic or not. And I don't know, Millie's in the race, Tara Palm's in the race. I'm not sure what their goals are. But yeah, I wouldn't mind just racing it rather than having a pacer that's running a set time, because I sometimes I just like to start races and see how I feel.
Yeah.
I don't really like having a pace locked into my mind, particularly in a half marathon.
So Moose not pumping up her tyres by the sounds of it.
She does enough of that herself. Sometimes they just need letting down a little bit.
You're just being harsh because you know she probably beat you at the moment.
We've got
a bet on for Gold Coast.
Do we?
Yeah. Well, we haven't actually worked out what the thing is.
Yeah. Okay.
Basically, I told him I'm going to beat him at Gold Coast.
All right. Well, we'll find out the week before Gold Coast once you've decided on what the actual bet is.
Yeah, it's got to be significant.
Let the listeners know.
He told me he was going to pace the other girls to beat me.
Was that the comment during the session, was it?
It was actually, yeah. You did say it then.
I think I said, oh, at what point do you think me and Leanne are going to break away from this pack?
And then you started reeling off everyone, saying,
Maybe
me and Lisa, me and Izzy, we're going to drop you so hard. So, yeah.
Good week.
Thanks.
Moose, do you want to take us through your week?
Oh, yeah, I'll be quick because my 2 sessions were in this.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Monday I got out on the paddleboard actually. So that was good swell, and out on the reefs looked really kind of inviting. I'd never really been out there when it was that big. So I went out there on my 12-foot paddleboard, which isn't a surfing board. Like, they're not designed to catch waves. But I couldn't help myself out there, and I played around for a little bit. And then I got shamed into doing this because I was making fun of Ellie because she bought some fucking stupid sleep ring for $500 or something. Like, tells you how much you've slept the night before. And we both agreed, even she agreed, that you know how much you slept the night before. And if you're going to be able to sleep more, you would take that extra sleep no matter what the ring's telling you. Like, who wakes up and goes, oh, I probably didn't need to sleep that much? Who on earth does that, Ellie?
But if the ring tells me I'm not sleeping enough, then I'll make a conscious effort to...
Surely you should be doing that anyway, as a professional athlete.
Yeah. Well,
I think Jake Whiteman has one of those. I think I saw on his YouTube clip.
Oh, there you
so
go.
if it's good enough for a world champ.
I think he's getting paid money, whereas Ellie's actually spending a lot of her husband's money.
How much did your paddleboard cost? Tell us that.
Well, I've used it quite a bit, especially on this day.
You've used it once in the last, 2 years?
Yeah.
Sometimes I just don't put it on Strava. I ran in the afternoon, 45 minutes. I was sore. I had some bad DOMs from Bendigo cross country and the long run. Like, I was pretty beat up. Went out with Toby's living in Anglesey now, so I watched him warm up and then saw a bit of his session, which was good now that I can keep an eye on him. Not that you can do much really if you're out jogging, like runs past. What do you say? How many times can you say, good job, keep it up to someone? It's just a bit ridiculous, really.
Yeah, you start feeling silly, don't you, after a few times? And you want to say something different, but then you know that's going to sound stupid.
It all sounds ridiculous. Yeah, I mean, it's different to being on a track because you don't know what pace he's going as he goes past. Could be having a blinder of a workout, could be having a terrible session. You got no idea. So that was interesting. I wanted to get back to an hour a day, did the workout with Ellie, actually felt really good. Like, I know we talked about it, but this workout, I was running along thinking, fuck, I could change gears at any time and I could probably change.
You said that to me. You said that to me multiple times during the workout.
He loves a flex mid workout. Like in Bathurst that time, Moose, where you go, oh, did you see that episode of whatever TV show it was? I'm like, mid rep, I'm like, fuck, good flex, Moose, good on you.
It doesn't go well for me very often, so I've got to use it when I can. Then
I noticed here, Moose, you mentioned about the Alpha Flies. I feel like you're very fickle with your super shoes. You, like, 1 month you love the Alpha Fly and then you hate them and you love something else, and then you come back to the Alpha Fly and you're like, oh, it's a great shoe.
100% I am. I can't work it out. Like, I find real issues with a lot of different shoes, and they play on my mind when I run in them, and then I forget about them. And I go back to the shoe, and then it's like a clean slate. And so I was running along in this thinking, what have I been doing all my life? This is fantastic. And like, nothing compares with this. There's a reason this is the king.
Yeah.
And then I do too many workouts in it, and maybe it feels sluggish at one point, or maybe it starts slapping a bit too much. But when my calves are good, it means that I can be up on my toes a bit more, because I suffer from tight calves a lot, and so it reduces it changes my running gait, and that's when shoes can start to feel a bit shit. So when I'm feeling good, when the body's right, then I can probably make a lot of shoes would feel good when I'm feeling like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good workout. I ran an hour with Toby on the next day, showed him a few travels, a new trails that he hasn't seen. So we ran, actually had to go along the Grey Ocean Road, which was a bit shit for a little bit, but then we ducked up this track back
that's the best
through the
track.
bush. It's a good one, yeah.
Is that the Hutt Gully one? From Hutt Gully Car Park?
No, it's from Govo's up.
Oh, okay.
Hutt Gully one is barely there anymore. It's pretty much non-existent. Oh, you're thinking of a different place. You're thinking of no, what are you thinking of?
No, I'm thinking of the same one that you ran on.
Oh, Govo's. Yeah, you just had the beach wrong.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, so it's a good track, but coming down it's better because you look over the ocean. Going up, you're kind of looking into the bush.
You can see across to Aries in one direction and then across to Road Night in the other direction.
Yeah.
And it's just all ocean. It's beautiful.
It's a panoramic ocean view. And the Great Ocean
That's my
Road's,
favourite track on the Surf Coast.
Yeah, it is good. Sometimes I go drive to the start of it and just run down and back up again.
Yeah.
It's kind of hidden too. No one really knows about it. We should take the group long run on it one day.
Yeah, I was actually going to do that on Sunday, but we would have had to do beach for a bit and the tide was too high.
Yeah, that is the problem. There is another track further along, and it's way overgrown. It's actually at Hutt Gully. Oh no, it's not. It's not at Hutt Gully exactly, but it's about in between those two beaches. That's a good track too, but it's harder to find, and it comes out on Gilbert Street.
Yeah.
We've just lost 90% of our listeners.
We can talk about this another time.
Yeah. I'm sure there'll be some that holiday in Anglesey one day. Hour the next day, that was just myself, I think. And then I did a workout with Ellie. Yeah, that was pretty good. I felt comfortable here. Heart rate showing that it's a bit higher, but I don't know. RPE was low. I think having people around helps that ratio, like with your heart rate up, but you're feeling fine. I reckon just being in a bit of a group setting and it being someone else's workout as well makes it so much easier mentally. We've talked about that. Then we went up to Noosa, so flew up that afternoon, did not run, got here, was pretty nice evening when we got here, and then the next day, pissed rain. So I was out in this, I did 2 hours. No, I didn't quite get to 2 hours. I did an hour 47. I wanted to do 2 hours, but it was pretty much torrential rain the whole time I was running. And my shoes got so sloppy that I felt like my foot was moving too much inside them and that my Achilles started to get a bit sore. It just wasn't stable underneath my foot. So I cut it shorter at 147. I did a loop, so I went out the national park through a bit of the Tanglewood track down to Sunshine Beach, ran on like a bike path back to like the sports fields at Noosa, did a couple of laps of the crit track just to measure the course because I was thinking about doing a workout on it later in the week. And
How
then
far
just
is it?
900 meters.
Oh, yeah.
It's bloody good too. Like there's a hill up one side and then there's a sharper hill down on the other. So I'm thinking about going there tomorrow even, do a fartlek on it. And then I just ran around the back, but I put a lot of body glide on, but when you're running in basically like just sopping wet bit of cloth the whole time, I just had some good old chafe, like proper chafe. Had no headphones, so after I ran out of thoughts, which was about the 6-minute mark, all I could do was hear in my head a fucking Play School playlist, and like just over and over and over. It was actually starting to really irritate me, and it was the same song, and I couldn't remember the exact words to it, so that was even worse. Oh God, that was bad. But yeah, that was my week.
It's a good week, Moose. First week over 100 in 6 weeks or so. 5
Yeah,
weeks.
And I did. I had 2 good workouts, a good enough long run, and I felt like a bit of a springboard to being away from the store this week and being able to train maybe a little bit more. So, yeah.
So you're going to double regularly this week, or what's your plan?
Nah, not regularly. That would be silly. Maybe twice. Like maybe on my recovery days I double.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very good. All right, I'll whip through my week. I did 2 runs on the Monday, so an hour in the morning, 4:15s, 35 minutes at 4:10s in the afternoon with a few strides. Tuesday afternoon, did a session with the group. So my heart rate's been pretty good. I only had one issue last week, and it was warming up on Tuesday. About 2 minutes in, started to get a bit short of breath, and my heart rate hit sort of 160. At like 4:30 kilometre pace, but then I didn't have any more issues for the rest of the week. So
what's in your head there just before you go on? How's that playing out for you? Are you thinking, fuck, I should stop, I should go home? Like, what's going on?
No, I guess because I've had experience with it now for a while, and like I think the fact that it follows the same pattern is comforting in a way, in that if it happens, it's always generally at the start of a run. And it lasts for like literally 10, 15 seconds where I can sort of feel the symptoms coming, where it's like my chest gets really tight, like, just can't breathe sort of properly. But when I'm running like 4-minute 30Ks, it's like, well, it's not a massive issue. And then I look down at my watch, and then my heart rate goes from like 130 or 120 to 160. And then 15 seconds later, I'm like back to normal. So I was actually warming up, chatting to a guy, and I'm like, and he's just sort of asking me how my heart thing was going. I'm like, oh, hang on a second. You can feel the symptoms now. And then 15 seconds later, it's fine.
So you stop running, or you just slow down?
No, I just back off, and then it's fine. And so finish the warm up, and then I'm like, well, I'll do the session. Like probably at the start of a session, it's sort of at the back of my mind, but it doesn't seem to be intensity. Like I don't seem to have too many issues at intensity, or I certainly didn't this week. Yes, the session was 3 minute, 2 minute, 1 minute. 1 minute between the reps, and then 90 seconds after the 1 minute rep before going back into the 3 minute. And it's pretty much just standing, slow jogging. It's whatever you want to do basically in the recovery. So we basically went 3 minutes, because we're struggling to find places that are well lit. So we do 3 minutes out one way, and then we do 2 minutes back and the 1 minute back in the same direction. So it was like 3 minutes with sort of a bit of a tailwind. The 2 minutes was a pretty strong headwind, and then the 1 minute wasn't too bad. So I went for the 3 minute reps, 312, 308, 304. The 2 minute reps, 313, 303, 257, and the 1 minute reps, 259, 258, 246. Felt pretty good actually. Like, all things like probably the first 2 minute rep was probably the hardest one, where I ran like 313s into the headwind, but then after that I didn't feel too bad. It's probably a bit harder than I should have been running given everything that's been happening, but it was fine. I did now 45.
Brad, can I just ask one question? So I know you're about to have heaps of tests and stuff done, but do they have any idea what it is that causes the jump?
No.
Or like, no idea.
No, and I think that's where from what I understand, they want to try and capture one of these episodes while you're hooked up to like an ECG. Because I think that then tells them exactly what's happening to the heart in that instance. So
they don't know if it's like your normal heart rhythm that's going really fast, or if it's like a arrhythmia. Yeah.
And so actually Brett Coleman messaged me, was it sometime last week, with like a link to there's a heart rate monitor now that actually has ECG as well as heart rate. Like it's pretty expensive. I think it's like $500 but that could be something to look into if it continues, because a lot of the other things that I mentioned last week, like the Apple Watches now, I think take like an ECG for like 30 seconds. And this other device also takes an ECG or something like that for like 30 seconds as well, but you actually have to stop and put your fingers on these things. Whereas if you had a heart rate strap and you're getting those ECG readings while you're having one of these episodes, you could then send that data to the doctor and they'd be able to sort of analyze that for you, I guess.
Yeah, cool.
So, yeah. yeah, Wednesday, because I still like plan on pacing at Gold Coast, I guess I'm sort of training as if I'm doing a marathon, even though I'm not, like I don't plan on finishing the marathon at all. So I did an hour 45, 405s, so just under 26K, got rolling towards, so I hit some decent hills after like 18K, and I sort of got rolling up those hills. And then once I sort of put that effort in up the hill, coming back down the other side, I was pretty much running the same pace, but not having to work too hard. Thursday, just the one run, 35 minutes at 4:17s. Did 35 minutes on the treadmill Friday morning at 5-minute Ks. And then on Friday afternoon, I ran from home down to Yerrabee Pond, which is where I used to do a lot of my like longer marathon sessions. It's about 4K around. And I did a 10K tempo. I put the Alpha Flies on for these, and a bit like you, Moose, I don't use the Alpha Flies a lot outside of like races or, you know, a marathon sort of block. I just normally use like the next percent. So when I put these things on, I definitely feel like I get a fair bit of extra pop. So yeah, I did 10K, 32 and a half minutes, so 3:15s. Actually felt pretty good on this. Yeah, it was like, I felt really controlled like for 8-9K, and then it was probably like the last K I'm like, yeah, I'm working like pretty hard now, and I probably kicked down a little bit as well, which probably wasn't necessary, which considering—
you can see that on your graph.
Yeah.
Do you have a heart rate on?
Yeah, I have a heart rate, yeah, so average like 165, but I didn't have any issues at all warming up or during the session for this one.
Good.
Yeah.
That's good. Good confidence boost so that you'll be able to handle the pace at Gold Coast. If you
yes, because I think it's 3:20. Well, assuming it's still 72 minutes through half, which it might be a bit quicker now that the elite fields are released. I guess I'll find out when I get up there. But I don't think I'm quite as fit as I was this time last year, because last year I did like 15K, pretty much at the same pace, 3:15s, and I definitely don't think I could have done 15. Well, I could have, but it would have been like all out. Anyway, it was a good run. Then Saturday I did a double, hour in the morning, 4:12s, 4:18s for 7.5K in the afternoon, and then did a bit of a marathon sort of specific long run where I actually ran with Leanne Pompiani, so one of your competitors, Ellie. She only had 22K because she was tapering for Launceston 10. So, yes, basically I did the first 20K with her, and then I was also running with a couple of other guys, Rob and Adrian. So after 20K, we took a different sort of turn, and she just ran the last 2K back to the car by herself. So I did 28K at like 4:10s. I took a gel at 90 minutes, took about 3 minutes to change into the Alpha Flies, and then around Yerrabee Pond did 20 minutes at like 3:15s or 14s or something. So yeah, pretty much same pace as I did on the Friday, and then 10 minutes, like 3:40s or something to finish up. So I was 37K all up at 3:58. The 20 minutes.
How come you did it like that?
Yeah, I was going to ask that too.
Yeah, so there isn't. So my plan originally was to do like—
10 minutes going to be easy at the end?
Well, it was, but I was like 2K away, and I had the Alpha Flies on, and going from like 3:15s to like 3:40s actually feels pretty easy in the Alpha Flies. Yeah, and just wanted to get back to the car. But the reason I did that was because my watch had lap pace and lap time, and so I didn't actually know how long my rep was. So I was like, so originally I was going to do 5 to 6K, and so I ended up just, halfway through the rep going, you know what, I'll just do 20 minutes, like pretty solid. And like it was hard. It was definitely harder than it was meant to be. I got probably a bit excited after like 10 minutes because, hit sort of 3K in just under 10 minutes, and I'm like, I've got less than 10 minutes to go now. I'll kick down a little bit. So, and plus it was like, 10:15 on a Sunday morning around a pond. There was like just so many people walking dogs and prams, and I'm just like, this is not that much fun. But it was definitely harder than it needed to be. And I'll do probably in 2 weeks' time, I'll do like a similar run, but I'll do it more at the pace that I have to do for Gold Coast. So
yeah, do you like to spend a bit of time at that pace to get used to it mechanically, or?
Yeah, like this was, and like I stuffed this up. Like I was definitely, my plan was to run it more between 320s and 325s, and I take off, and I look down, and early on I was like 318s, 319s, and it felt like pretty comfortable, and then it just naturally sort of picked up when I should have been really disciplined in that first K to go, you know what, I'm going to slow this right down to like 325s and then feel super comfy for the whole way. Whereas it felt comfortable for like 15, 16 minutes. And then the last 4 minutes, I'm like, yeah, I've cooked this a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the next couple of weeks. It's always
because it's going to be an awkward pace for you to run. That's all. Like, it's slow, like a fair bit slower than your threshold. It's sometimes I think when you're pacing, it's almost, you want to get used to what it feels like, because it's not going to feel like, you probably never run that pace for anything, really.
No, it's funny as well, because it's like in training, I fuck it up regularly. Like I always run faster than I probably should. But then when I do actually get to the pacing, like because it's obviously a paid gig and you don't want to stuff anybody up, it's like I'm like really disciplined with it. Like to the point that last year I think it was 70, like it was pretty much 72 through half, like to the second. So I think I'll be right, come race day. But yeah, so my plan for the coming weeks is I'm going to do like a 2x8K on Friday, but at that sort of 324s.
Don't you think that with the announcement of the big dog ladies coming over, that the pace is going to be way faster?
Well, I don't know. Like, because, so I guess for the listeners out there, the elite fields for Gold Coast got released. And so on the women's side, Florence Kiplagat has the fastest PB of 2:19.44, but she hasn't raced since like 2019. She was the 2009 World Cross Country champion, and she's won 2 Berlin marathons and she's won 2 Chicago marathons. But this was all like 2011, that sort of, pre-super shoes. So like I'm doubting she's in that sort of shape. The second girl, Ruth Chebatok, she won Gold Coast in 2018, and I think she would have run a PB on that day, and it was like 2:25 or 2:24. She now has a PB of 2:21.03. And the girl that won in 2019, she's back as well with a PB of 2:23.14. So it'll be a lot of the time, though, these girls are just, all they're after is the win and breaking the course record for the bonus money. And so the course record. It's like, well, last year Lindsay Flanagan broke it. So 2:24 high.
Okay.
And so that's when Ryan mentioned to me about the pace. He's like, it's probably going to be around 72 again to set it up for another course record. But that being said, Moose, like it's probably worth me, training a little bit faster in case, they do want like 70-30 or something.
You should just slide into the Kenyan girls' DM, see what's going on.
Yeah, I hope it's not.
It is. Hopefully they do want that though, because that's good for the Aussie girls then. Like, because otherwise, does that mean that Eloise and that, are you the only pacemaker, or are they going to be?
I'm not sure. Last year they had a couple. I know Scotty Westcott was there last year doing it, and in the past they've had a couple like. They've had like the 72-minute through half, and then they've had more like a 74 group. But I'm hoping it's not any faster than 70-30, because I'll have to pull the pin at halfway. I won't be able to go to like 30K.
You still get paid a bit for that.
Yeah, not as much as 30K.
Do you know what just popped into my mind? A name of a runner.
Mm-hmm.
Celia Sullivan.
Yes.
Talk to me about that.
So
where's she at?
Yeah, funny you mentioned that, Moose, because I saw something on social media last week that she'd been over in New Zealand for like the last couple of years, I think. But according to social media, she was coming back to Australia.
Yeah, okay. So she's been
running?
running?
She still run?
I'm not sure if she's running.
Wow, she was on fire for a while.
Yeah.
She was like unbeatable. well, maybe not unbeatable, but she was very good for
She
a period
ran
of time.
at Gold Coast. Did she run 2:30 or 2:29?
I thought she went under 2:30.
Yeah, I remember she was really sick after she had to go to hospital. I think she was so dehydrated.
I think we may even mention, like, she just had this bulldog like tenacity to her running.
Yeah. Now here it is. So she's been over there for 4 years.
Wow.
Yeah, and she's worked on she was in the COVID front line. So obviously, healthcare type stuff.
I think she's a physio.
Yeah. But it finishes with, but it's time to go home. So she's obviously coming back. I'm not sure how much running she's been doing while she's been over there.
Yeah. I think she won. Did she win Gold Coast one that year?
Maybe she did well. I can't remember if she...
I don't know if she... I don't think she won. I don't think she won Gold Coast.
She won Zatopek. She definitely won Zatopek one year.
Someone find out. Someone do some Googling.
I'll find out during the show. I'll look her up. So anyway, that was 159k for me. So yeah, decent week.
159.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Oh, damn.
That's huge running.
Yeah. So my plan is to do another 1 or 2 weeks of that and then back off for a week.
Real good.
How many weeks to Gold Coast?
So it's 4 weeks. So I'm going to do, like that bigger workout Friday. I'm going to do like a track session tomorrow, just like 400s off like really short recovery. So not like too fast. And then this coming Sunday, I'm in Wagga. So I'll just do like a long run with no intensity. And then the following week, I'll just do, I'll do like a harder long run again, 2 weeks out. And then I'll just have like a 2 week sort of taper because I'm not, I'm not finishing the race.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
All right, let's thank some patrons. Do you want to go first, Moose?
Yep, I have Lewis Laidley from the UK. Runs for Herne Hill Harriers. According to his Power of 10 profile, has run the following times: 1:58 for 800, 3:56 for 1500, 8:31 for 3k, 14:50 for 5k, 14:39 for a 5k road race. So he's moving, Lewis. Got some wheels on him. So Power of 10, why wouldn't we find those results on World Athletics? What's the difference?
Well, I think World Athletics probably doesn't maybe he does have a World Athletics profile, but I think Power of 10 captures like all club runners over in the UK, whereas I guess you have to be at a certain level to have like a World Athletics profile.
Oh, do you? He
has a World Athletics profile.
Yeah. Yeah. So based on his times, like he would, but you could have a guy running 25 minutes for 5k. He's not going to have a World Athletics profile, but if he's in the UK and he races over there, he'll have like a Power of 10 profile.
Yeah. Okay. That's good.
Make sense?
That's a good idea. I like that. I wonder how fast you have to be to get a World Athletics profile. Like, what's the cutoff? It must be a point. I reckon it'd be a point system, like 900 points or something, or 600 points. I don't know.
Maybe you should email Seb Co.
All like 700 or 800 points.
Yeah.
So that's obviously got him over the line.
Yeah.
Well, if anybody knows, write in, let us know how you get a World Athletics profile.
Yeah.
Who you got Ellie?
Oh, that's great.
I've got Carly Scary. So Carly ran 17:59 at this year's Richmond Harriers Tiger 5. 38:23. Now that is not her PB anymore because I know she ran a fair bit faster than that at Albert Park 10k just recently, but I'm not
certified. Sorry, exactly. Carly. Not certified.
Well, she was definitely
Sandy Point certified.
I reckon she must have taken nearly 2 minutes off that. 86 at Melbourne Half 2021 and 2:57 at Gold Coast last year. Looks like she has improved a lot over the last 3 to 4 years, and one to watch. But above all, Carly Scary is a member of the Pussycats, which is the Geelong Region Cross Country Women's Team. So yes.
Not the pussy peddlers.
That's so funny.
The Pussycats.
I actually cut out a bit of your intro when I said that you and Jose were part of the swinging club in Aireys Inlet called Pussy Peddlers.
That's my bike gang.
Yeah, gang. All right.
So the
I guess a lot of
Pussycats is our cross country team. And yeah, Carly, we have been lucky enough to recruit Carly and some of her friends this year. So yeah, it's good.
I can't remember whether you mentioned Pussy Peddlers on like the main show or whether it was a Road 2 series when you were doing cycling with the old ladies.
They wanted to change the name because they thought it was too rude. And it's like, no, it's the best.
Well, thank you, Carly. I've got a shout out to Art Payne. So I'm pretty sure he's from the UK. And so I found an Arthur Payne on the Power of 10 website. Not sure if it's the same guy, but if it is, he's run 17:16 at the 2022 Home Countries International 5K at Cardiff, 36:03 for 10K, and 75:46 at the 2023 Cambridge Half Marathon. So thanks to those patrons and all the other legends out there, there'll be a Road to Gold Coast episode 4 dropping either tonight or sometime tomorrow once Brady, he's back. Well, he's back from Japan. I'm just not sure whether they're recording tonight or tomorrow. So, and patrons also get first bite at the cherry for Gold Coast Live Show tickets, which we'll mention a bit more about that at the end of the show. Head to the Gold Coast for a fast, flat race this July. Whether you're looking for a personal best time or a winter break with the family, the Gold Coast Marathon on the 1st and 2nd July has it all. The weekend of events includes a distance for everyone, the Gold Coast Marathon, CPL Wheelchair Marathon, ASICS Half Marathon, Southern Cross University 10K, CPL Wheelchair 10K, Gold Coast Airport 5K, and the Health and Wellbeing Queensland 2 and 4 kilometre Junior Dash. It's fast, it's flat, and it's scenic. Enter now at goldcoastmarathon.com.au. All right, running news. Moose, do you want to start off first with some domestic results?
Yep, I'll talk about the New South Wales relays, cross-country relays, 4x4K. The men's team, Bankstown, won 48-43. They were in front of Randwick Botany, 49-16, and Your Mob, Sydney Uni, 49-29. The fastest times of the day were Josh Johnson, 11:54. Ed Goddard was 11:55, and Aaron Spiesberg Parker, 12:01. In the women's,
is that Leanne's partner?
Aaron it is.
Parker?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Isn't Aaron Parker? That name's so familiar. No, not from running. Is there a celebrity called Aaron Parker? Seems like a celebrity name. In the women,
Aaron Spiesberger Parker.
Yeah,
better.
That would be a coincidence. Run crew ran 56:45. So yeah, it brings up that whole thing. New South Wales are good letting in running groups like that into their leagues. I like it. UTS. What's UTS?
University of Technology, Sydney.
Right. Okay. They were second in 58:20. Bankstown third in 59:19. So fastest times, 13:19, Aynslee Van Graan, 13:35, Jayla Hancock Cameron, and 13:43, Georgia Whincup. It's a pretty good showing for the New South Wales athletes there. Like some big names came out.
Yeah. No, it's generally a pretty well contested event, that one. So, and there's a few people missing. Like Benny Saint was down to run for Run Crew, but I think he may have been sick, so he didn't turn up. But yeah, like the top 15 guys were pretty good. Like Harrison McGill, I think he was like 5th or 6th fastest, and So anyway, and Leonora Gift, Moose.
Yeah, so actually watched this. Runners Tribe had a live stream going, so I watched it after the fact, so maybe an hour after it finished. Madeline Murray, she won the women's race, so she kicked away pretty strongly to beat Zoe Buckman in second. Rachel McCormick was third. I reckon she started to put a gap on him, maybe the 1,200 metre mark. These are mile races, actually, so just to let everyone know. Cameron Myers was the winner, pulled away last lap, went to the front and started to drop him. He beat James Hansen, who put in a pretty solid effort to push him. And Luke Burrows, the Western Australian, was third. So this is big time money out there, Leonora.
Yeah, it's like $7,000 for the win plus a gold nugget worth probably another like $5,000 or so. That's what it used to be anyway. But yeah, Cam, like he actually turned 17 later this week, and so he's still just making these, like just dominating these grown men. I don't know, it just seems so composed in these big races.
Yeah, he does. Like he's calm. He's tactically smart. Maybe he went a bit hard in the heat. That's probably like the thing I was watching going, we didn't need to just smash them all like that. Turns out it didn't matter. he still won the final, so whatever. But yeah, imagine rocking up to school just with $7,000 win on the weekend.
Yeah.
Crazy.
He's actually heading over to Europe this month for a series of races. So it's going to be interesting to see what he does on the like European circuit over there.
Yeah.
Is he looking to try and qualify for a senior team?
I'm not sure. Probably not at this stage. But who knows? Like the way that he's running and the rate of which he's improving, like you wouldn't put it past him to come out and run a 3:35. So who knows? It's certainly exciting. Exciting times to watch, and
I'd say you'd expect him to run that time after what we've seen. I know that's unbelievable to say, but it kind of feels like he could easily. Like, what's he run? 3:56 for a mile? Yeah. That would be similar to 3:35, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I'll try and find out which races he's actually doing before he goes, so we can sort of just keep an eye on it and update while he's away.
Yeah. Yeah, that was it.
Yeah. All right, I might take us then to probably the most exciting running news for the week. So it happened at the Diamond League. 1,500 women. Faith Kipyegon broke DeBarber's world record. So she ran 3:49.11, ran sub 2 minutes for the last 800 and 58 seconds for the last 400. It was really only Laura Muir and Jess Hull that sort of went with her from the gun, and then the rest of the field was sort of left behind. But then Muir got dropped, and then Jess was off the back of Muir. Laura Muir was second in 3:57.09, and Jess Hull lowered her own Australian record by just over 1.5 seconds, running 3:57.29. So she's having an unbelievable year. Abby Caldwell was sixth in 4:01, and Lyndon Hall was 10th in 4:02. Either of you see that race?
Yeah, I watched it. It was pretty fascinating to watch, wasn't it? I mean, the pack behind that had Abby and Lyndon in it, I think they were like 50 meters off the back after a lap and a half or something.
Yeah.
Because they went through in 62, and it was that you didn't even really see what happened behind for the rest of the race, because it was obviously focused on Faith, but pretty gutsy of Jess to go with the pace when it was so quick. And I think that kind of like she faded after one lap. She was already sort of dropping off, but it was obviously enough to bank time, and it was really impressive. She held on really well.
Was there a pacer?
Yeah. They had a pace. I think they had two paces. Maybe one dropped out about 600, and then the other one kept going a little longer. Did they, Brad?
Yeah, 800. So Sage Herder Klecker, she went to 800. So basically 2:0. So I think they were rolling like 62s for the first two laps, and then Faith, like the last lap, like 58 off an already like pretty quick. First 1100 was really impressive to watch, and I think
she was behind the pace laps, wasn't she, with one lap to go?
Oh yeah, like her last 200 was just incredible, like how fast she was moving. And I think Jess, although she sort of was in no man's land for a lot of the race, I think the fact that Muir was sort of tying up and coming back to her probably helped Jess a little bit. But you'd have to think that if Jess was in a race where everybody was running that sort of 3:57 pace, and she's got more people around, like she could run faster, because essentially it was almost a time trial for her because she was just on her own, even though it was an Aussie record.
Yeah, kind of, but it takes away that there was no messy pack for her. like she had a lap of sitting on the back, and then like you said, she had Laura Muir to chase down in the last lap. So the middle bit would have been lonely, but sometimes those 1500s, there's just so much, going out wide to overtake people and mess that can really sort of slow you down as well.
Yeah. Which is
Never
sort of
run
what
a 1500 meter in my life. I've got no idea.
Which is sort of what happened in the 5K. So we had two Aussies in the 5K. So Jack Rayner was pacing, and we had Stewie. And so the plan, I think, was for Jack to run to 3K in like 7:45. And so they had a pacemaker early on, Paul Robinson, I think it was, who was rolling like 62-second laps. And so they were really strung out. And then he pulled off, and Jack was then at the front. And the pace then really yo-yoed to the point that Jack pulled out probably at about like 2.5K. So he didn't make it to 3K. And then once he pulled out, like Stewie was already starting to fall off the back at this stage. But they went from running like 61, 62s to like the odd 65. And then Stewie would sort of he'd yo-yo. So when they ran like a 65, he'd get back on. Then they'd pick up the pace a bit back to like a 63, and Stewie'd get dropped. So it was quite tactical in a way. Mo Katir got the win, 12:52.09, which is a world-leading time. Yomif Kajelcha was second, 12:52.12, and Louis Grijalva was third in 12:52.97. But it was super deep field. So Cheptegei was fourth, Stewie was 13:23. But there was a heap of PBs, and there was 13 guys under 13 minutes. And Arigawi, like we know how good he is. He finished 14th in 13:04. So it was pretty much a world championship final basically without Jakob.
Yeah, wasn't it crazy? Yeah, unbelievable. Imagine running 13:23 and being that far back.
Yeah.
It's wild.
So
what do we think's going on? Like Stewie's had a couple of average ones now.
Yeah.
DNF and then this. Like, do we know what's happening? Has anyone heard? Do you know, Ellie?
No, I don't know. No.
Well, I thought he bounced back because he did that 10K, the Manchester 10K, and so it was like, when he pulled off, was it the Rabat Diamond League after like 800 meters? We're like, oh no, is he injured? And then he came out and he beat Jack in that 10K, ran like, what was it, 28 low or something? So he obviously wasn't injured. And then this was obviously below par for Stewie.
Yeah. We were talking about this though on Saturday, weren't we, Jules? Like for him now, everybody, we have such high expectations of him, and even like to be a tiny bit off his best in a race like this, you're just going to get destroyed because it was so strong. And Stewie at his absolute best obviously would have been right up there, but yeah, I don't know. Yeah. It's a hard stage to be on if you're just not quite. I think he maybe did he have a little injury earlier in the year, and maybe he's just not quite back to his full fitness.
And you wonder, like, are the Diamond League races like this the best for him when he's not quite fit? Like, say he's in 13:20 shape and the race is being won in 12:50. But the rest of the pack is like, what, 13:05 kind of thing. Well,
this is probably the strongest field that's ever been assembled for a 5K.
That's right, yeah.
Never gets harder than this.
It doesn't seem to get to him though. Like he's been here before. Like look at last year. Like he did maybe 3 Diamond Leagues in a row where he was just so far off the back over like 1500 and 3K. And then by the end of the season, he was like back up there again. So he's obviously able to put it sort of to the back of his mind.
Maybe that's what he's doing too, just trying to race himself back to fitness.
Yeah, he's done it before. He knows the blueprint.
But as you said, like in this sort of environment, like, yourself, like if you have an off day in a 5K, like it's pretty easy to run 20 seconds or so slower than, what you're hoping to run. But when you're in this environment, it looks like you've had like an absolute shocker. Yeah. Whereas, 20 odd seconds over 5K, like, it's not ideal, but it's not bad. He'll be back hopefully.
He's got plenty of time to get that last bit of fitness back before World Champs, hopefully.
just another bit of information I had here was Safan Hassan. So you raced her in London, Ellie, how many weeks ago? Like 5 weeks or so?
Yeah.
And so she did a double in Hengelo on the weekend. So she ran a 10K in 29:37 with a 60-second last lap, and then less than 24 hours later wins the 1500 in 3:58. I thought that was a pretty good double for the weekend. Worth mentioning.
Well, how's the double of a 3:58 1500 and 5 weeks prior a 2:18 major marathon win?
Yeah, all three of those.
Insane.
Yeah.
And what about did you have a funny story about her from that race? From London, Ellie?
Oh, how she was. Which one? There was a lot of funny stories.
Tell them all, because no one. I reckon they were all great.
How she was like asleep, snoring on the bus on the way to the thing. Yeah, what else? She was telling me in the hallway at the race hotel that she'd only been training for 6 weeks because she'd been injured. I don't know what she meant by that, like whether that was 6 weeks of marathon training or 6 weeks of training. But she was like, yeah, I'm really scared of the marathon. I don't know if I'm going to make it to the finish line. I've only, done 6 weeks. And what else was she doing? She's a bit of a character, Sifan.
You can tell.
Yeah, I couldn't. Yeah, the stretching, stopping and stretching, and then the drink bottle thing was probably the best bit though, wasn't it? Trying to give that girl a drink. It was just like
such a good flex.
Oh yeah.
Something Julian would do to you.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you sure you don't want to drink? Come on. We've run 40 Ks. You must be thirsty. She's funny.
And what results have you? Oh, you got another story?
Nah, I don't think so. I'll try and remember some more, but
I'll take us to Brisbane Marathon Festival then.
Yep. So that was on
Sunday.
Sunday was it? Yeah. So Jonathan Peters won the men's race 2:25:22. Catherine Parkinson won the women's race in 2:45:04. In the half marathon, Jason Hunt won 71:06, and Cassie Finn won the women's race 77:52. So she's obviously getting back into some running. 10K, Ryan Gregson in 29:55 took the win, and in the women's race, Tennille Ellis in 34:29. So I think Tennille's a good marathon runner. I think she's actually coached by Benita.
Yeah, I think you're right, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Brisbane Marathon, it's not particularly fast, is it? Like they run along the river.
No, I don't think it's very fast. I reckon we looked at that in 2021 to go down to as like in your prep to Tokyo, because we were staying in Noosa.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And the course didn't look very fast at all. Like there was a decent hill in it, maybe at can't remember what point, but I remember thinking there's a reason these times aren't that fast.
Yeah. And Rose Davies had a good run in Norway. So she won a 5,000 meter race in 15:10, which it's not a PB for her, but it's not far off her PB. Does she run
15:09 or something like? Oh yeah, something like, it's not much under that. Or 15. Actually,
maybe
I'll find
a bit
it.
Quicker.
I'll find it out. But she's in pretty good form, because she had that good the 3K that she ran in Japan was also pretty good.
Yeah, that was really good. So like the World Champs qualifier is really fast. I think for the 5K it's sub 15, but all of these races that she's doing will be giving her good points. So I'm not sure where she's sitting in the rankings at the moment, but hopefully she'll get a run in the 5K in Budapest with these results she's clocking up.
15:07 is her PB. And back to Celia Sullivan. So she won Melbourne Marathon in 2017 in 2:29:27. She ran 2:30 on the Gold Coast in 2018. But yeah, she's run 71 for the half in Cardiff, 31.50 for 10K and 15.34 for 5K. So definitely talented. Be good to see her back. All right. Training Talk. So Training Talk segment is back and it's sponsored by Gold Coast Marathon. Run your next PB at the Gold Coast Marathon in 2023. Fast, flat and scenic. There is an event distance for everyone, from the full marathon to the kids 2 and 4 kilometre junior dash. Enter now at goldcoastmarathon.com.au. So with thanks to Gold Coast, we had some listener questions come through. And the one that we're going with today is, how far out and how hard would you do a last big long run? Which is a good question, given we're like 4 weeks out. We've just gone past 4 weeks out from the until the marathon for Gold Coast. So when do you do your last big one, and how big?
Go on, guest.
Yeah. Well, the way that we would usually do it, I reckon we would do what are you saying? What are you calling your last big long run? Over 30 Ks?
Wait, change this to say, when are you doing, how far out and how hard would your longest or your hardest big long run would be?
Yeah. So I reckon, depending on what was happening in the block, we'd be doing that 4 or 5 weeks out.
Yeah. So do you reckon? So you're saying like peak at 4 to 5 weeks out, and then start tapering into the race after that, like go up, like kind of pyramid up, and then come down the other side towards the race.
Yeah, sort of. Yeah. Like, I mean, your mileage is still going to be pretty decent up until 2.5, 3 weeks out. But if we were doing a big session that was, 40K with quite a lot of pace work in it, then I don't think we would be doing that much closer than 4 weeks out from the race. But I know that different training groups do this differently. So I think the MTC guys, they do a big 40K workout quite close.
2 weeks?
Maybe 2 weeks out. Yeah. I think it varies a little bit again for them as well, depending on what, how their block's gone. But I know they do that quite a bit closer.
What about, we used to still do 3x7K with 2K floats 3 weeks out often. That's pretty big, 3 weeks out.
The Sunday 3 weeks before.
Yeah.
I would have thought 3 weeks is probably the most common. Like, you sort of start that taper 3 weeks out, with like the Sunday 3 weeks out being the last really hard, big long run. And then like 2 weeks out, you're probably just going back to standard sort of 2 hours on the Sunday. And then a week out, you're probably more like 90 minutes. That's generally how I program it.
I'm not sure. Yeah, sorry, go on.
Oh, so my last big long run for most people is 3 weeks out, and that will often include like 10K at marathon pace after an hour 45 to 2 hours, depending on how fast they run and distance wise. The only time it would be closer than that is if somebody had like a really interrupted prep where they haven't, strung together a good like 6 to 8 week sort of period, and they're almost like on the up for the marathon. I'd probably schedule something still pretty decent 2 weeks out.
Yeah.
But not quite as hard as what you do 3 weeks out, but still something with marathon pace if they haven't had an ideal prep or they're still on the up.
I think you need to be a little bit mindful with that one too, though, because you can go too far and too hard then to a point where you're not fully recovered from that by the time you get to the marathon. Like you hear of people doing things like, 40K tempos and really big, a really big run where like almost the whole thing is at marathon pace or close to it. And that, like, how they say that the fitness you've got is from what you did sort of a month ago or 3 to 4 weeks ago. You still have to make sure that there's enough time to absorb that, I reckon. And I think people can stuff that up. Like you see sometimes people will do a marathon as a tempo or as a session 4 weeks before their actual race. And, if they go too hard in that, they can ruin their marathon and they end up not recovering properly. And yeah.
On the flip side though, but so if you go out and you do, let's say you change it and go 5 weeks, that's the big one that we do. That's a month, more than a month of you mentally tapering, knowing that your hardest session is behind you. Like even if you do have some workouts in, you kind of feel like you're on the downward slide into the race. So I wouldn't go too far early. I reckon if you delay the taper or you draw the taper out too much, it's problematic. But I reckon we've kind of changed our thoughts a little on this, and I like to do bigger long runs earlier in the block, and then as you get closer towards the race, you reduce the length of the run, but you increase the tempo, and even I've sort of thought, why am I doing a 90-minute run 7 days before the race? Like, why do I need a fucking midweek long, like not a mid long run, 90 days before the race at easy pace? To me, in my head, I'm like, how do I justify that? How is that helping race day? So I get rid of that now, and we'll do a workout, a marathon pace type workout on the Saturday, not the Sunday, to give ourselves an extra day as well.
And within how much volume, like 20K?
Yeah, like total, maybe 20K. Or even a little less, like 80 minutes worth. Mm-hmm. Probably 80 minutes worth. And that's 8 days before the race.
When Jules, do you remember when you did that 40K like 95% marathon pace run on Forest Road before Melbourne?
Yeah.
How many weeks out was that?
That was a month out.
Okay.
Yeah, I got injured from that. I remember that. Yeah. Oh no, I got injured the week after. But that probably contributed to my injury the next week. Yeah,
it's really tricky because it's like they're two different things, aren't they? How fast, like what is the volume of it and how hard is it? Because there's such a big difference between doing a 38K run with 10K of effort versus doing a 38K run where you've got 25K worth of tempo work. It's balancing that volume intensity.
I reckon there's too many people out there that do the second one that you said, like do long runs where there's so much of it at marathon pace. Yeah. Like I reckon for me, like just before I ran my PB, in that whole block, at the end of a long run, I never did more than 10K at marathon pace at the end of a long run. And so I remember 3 weeks out, I would have done an hour 45, and then I did 10K of 2K at marathon pace, 500 slightly faster, then back to 2K at marathon pace. So it was 10K, pretty quick. Like it was, obviously a bit faster than marathon pace for that 10K. But where I sort of, and the reason why I do those sessions is to practice running on tired legs. But where I feel like I prepare overall for the marathon is just the week on week of like midweek long runs and decent volume builds that strength. And so those long runs where you're running marathon pace at the end of it is almost just to replicate that feeling of, all right, what's it like running at marathon pace when you're tired? And you can get that by doing 2 hours easy and then doing a bit at marathon pace at the end, not having to do 30 odd K at marathon pace in a 40K run.
Yeah, that's true.
I agree with you, especially when you said too many people doing too much time at marathon pace. I see it too much with beginner to intermediate runners who aren't ready for it. Yeah. Like that sort of training is for intermediate to advanced runners only. And they see, like, this is a Strava problem, is that they see this like happening across the world and they're copying it. And it's also, I think it's from inexperienced coaches now, because we see a lot of poor coaching in my mind, and what they're doing is they're giving training that people have given them. So they're like, okay, well, I got given this, I ran well off it, I guess I'll give it to the debut marathoner trying to run 3.5 hours and trying to adapt it to them. But I don't think it works like that. I don't think running is just like ratioed down for a slower person. especially when like a 35k long run could be 3/4 of the mileage that person's running that week, which is the other problem. Is like your long run shouldn't be making up half your weekly volume. That's
the other thing with those people is, though, their easy run pace and their marathon pace are a lot closer together.
Yeah.
So often for them, running marathon pace actually doesn't feel that hard, because it's, you know, if you're new to the marathon and you're running, you know, you want to run 4.5 hours or something, the pace that you do it at is going to be quite similar to the pace that you're running.
Yeah.
You know, when you go out for 40 minutes on a Tuesday.
Definitely. Like we've this sort of gone rogue on this question, but the other mistake I see is coaches giving out distance programs based off distance for some, like without taking into account how slow the person's running. So say I give you, Ellie, 16k, that's like you might run that at 4:30s, get it done in 75 minutes. You give that to someone who's running 5:30s, they're out there for like 90 minutes or something, maybe longer, I don't know, or depending on their pace. And so it totally changes the actual how stressful that day is. And it's an easy thing to miss for a lot of people, but it's there's a bit of an epidemic of inexperience, like poorly informed coaches out there that are trying to cash in on like the kind of boom of online coaching.
But it's like anything with these questions. It's really hard to answer them without knowing what else they're doing throughout the week. Like, as I said, I have only ever really done maximum 10k of hard running at the end of my long run. But when I was doing that, I was doing 170, 180k a week. I was also doing sessions of like 2x8k at marathon pace with a k float, or, you know, a big one I did was 2x12k, and I was doing an hour 45 to 2 hours midweek. So because I was doing all of that volume and a couple of those other marathon specific sessions that weren't long runs, I probably didn't need as much of that marathon pace at the end of a long run, because I just had strength anyway. So there's a lot of other factors at how the week, you know, comes together.
Your volume's so high. Your volume's so high. It's your volume. That's what's making you a better marathoner.
Yeah.
Like in my mind, that's the key. The long run's great. It's the next step after the volume.
Good chat. That's good discussion. Enjoyed that.
Thanks, Brad.
I don't know if we answered the question at all.
Well, I reckon you probably, like, it all comes down to you want to get close to the fire but not burn yourself. And I reckon you don't want to go any closer than 3 weeks. Like, as a really, really
that's a good rule.
As a really, really hard one.
Yeah.
I think you can still do some longish stuff 2 weeks out, but not as big as 3 weeks. And essentially, whatever you need to make sure you can recover in the time, whether it's 3 weeks or 2 weeks out. You don't want to bite off that much that you're tired on race day.
Yeah.
All right, Moose on the loose.
Yeah, well, I mean, relevant one for me today, or yesterday even. It was 20 degrees. It felt like 21 because it was so humid on my long run. So I'd take off at about 7:30 or so, run into a procession of people wearing puffer jackets and jogging up towards the national park. Keep in mind it was pissing rain as well, and these aren't waterproof puffer jackets. It's like Queenslanders have never had to deal with rain or any type of oppressive condition in their life, and they just don't know what to do. Like, they go to the wardrobe and they pick out like the stupidest thing that they can find. Because there is nothing worse than running uphill towards the national park here in heavy rain in 21-degree weather with in a heavy puffy jacket. I just couldn't believe what I was seeing. And it wasn't one, it was like 3 or 4 on the whole way out there. And there weren't that many people. It was like every third person had a big puffer jacket on, exercising in it. Like, when has that become a thing? Also, people running with these big, like, sweaty headphones on, not like the little ear pods that you run in that kind of like try to disappear into your ear. The full-on big cuff ones with like foam padding, and sometimes they've got like fleece coverings. with a big band across the top. Like, that's not a thing, is it? Running with those? But it is here. Like, that's too heavy. And also, it gets so sweaty and hot in there, surely.
I always think that. Then do they then use their headphones when they go home and watch Netflix or something? Like,
yeah,
that would be gross.
It's filled with sweat. No, these are my running headphones, like the extra thick, puffy ones. And we'll just save them for our runs where we sweat into them. And how do you clean them? Like, it's electronics. You can't just clean electronic equipment.
I think you're being a bit harsh on Queenslanders, Moose, because I think you could, the bit here you've written down, like, ridiculous clothing. You see that everywhere.
Oh,
like,
you don't see that. You don't see that. Like, you're in Canberra, mate. People wearing puffer jackets, they've earned their position to wear a puffer jacket.
No, well, I'm thinking about, you see people that are out, like, they're obviously not like competitive runners, but they're out running in just their general attire, like general clothes, like long pants and, polo tops. And I'm thinking to myself when I see them, I'm like, if I had to run in that sort of stuff, like long pants and like, I would hate it, especially when it's not even cold.
Yeah, there's a bit of a culture now in like trail running where they wear what do you call like the checkered shirts? What's that called?
Flannelette shirt.
Flannelette shirts running. Like, they wear flannelettes and it's like they're cool hipsters, and that's what we wear when we go for a run because we don't need technical clothing. Because and you think, how uncomfortable would a sweaty flannelette shirt be after like half an hour of running? And even today, yesterday on the long run, the most unfriendly people out on the trail were the ones that were wearing hydration vests. Like the trail runners, most likely. Like, why are they? They're supposed to be a friendly vibe in that community. They gave me absolutely nothing. Donuts out there.
I love Moose on the Loose because it's like if you keep Julian talking long enough, one Moose on the Loose turns into about 6 or 7.
Like,
just jumps from one topic to another.
The old lady hikers, like normally the hikers are the grumpiest, but they actually sort of said hello. But as soon as you go past someone with a hydration pack on, no way. You're not even getting a sniff of a smile, hello, acknowledgement. They're not moving over either. Like, you have to go around them.
Surely the most ridiculous running attire trend ever has been crop tops with long tights, hasn't it?
Oh,
like,
don't get in here.
No.
This is Lulu. Can't mention Lululemon, Ellie. Don't mention it.
Lululemon.
Don't mention the war. We'll get in strife here.
Well, this was the Brady topic, wasn't it? You couldn't, like, was it crop tops as the equivalent of shirts off or something?
Oh.
Remember that one?
Oh yeah, that became like a I remember that debate.
You've never done that? You've never run with a crop top and
tights.
Yeah.
Like, if it's cold enough to wear long tights, I only get the long
Wait.
tights It's really cold.
Ali, I've seen a photo of you running in long tights you're on a fucking cover of a magazine running in long tights and a crop top. Runners World Australia 2021 August.
It's different if it's a photo shoot.
Mate, she's having a crack at a fashion trend. She was on the front cover of a
If you're a model, it's okay, Jules. If you're going for an actual run.
Oh, okay. You're not an actual runner then.
Okay, we'll just backtrack. We'll cut that already.
Well, here's a question for you on tights. I've never been able to do, even here in Canberra when it's like -4, I've never been able to do a session in long tights. I can warm up in long tights, but I cannot do sessions in long tights. Thoughts?
I think in Australia, there's never really weather where you need long tights for a session. Maybe I wear them for jogs when it's really cold, but overseas, I think when they're in, minus 20 degrees or whatever, you'd have to.
I couldn't think of anything worse than just getting like hot and just that uncomfortable feeling from trying to run fast in long tights. Whereas, I see people do it and I'm just like, I wouldn't enjoy that.
So Nike have one out called the Aero Swift tight, and it's the same material they make their half tight into a full tight. That would be actually easy to do a workout in, I reckon. Sorry, Ali. New Balance the New Balance pin-up. But they do a good a good
buy
tight.
them, guys. Buy the Aeroswiss. If you want to see some good tights for running, check out my Runner's World article.
I'm trying to find it right now.
You got any more Moose on the Loose topics, or are we heading on to what's coming up?
That'll do.
We're pretty much done. So, Ellie, you've got Launceston. Anything else exciting happening this week?
No, nothing this week. Just flying over there Saturday afternoon, I think, and then, half Sunday, back Sunday night. Good
luck. Have you checked the weather forecast?
I haven't yet, which is unusual for me. I usually start doing that about 3 weeks out. It's usually good in Lonnie.
She's confident.
Well, last year was like blowing an absolute gale. I remember the night before, like Sinead wanted to like have a crack at, I think, like the Aussie, I don't know if it was Aussie record or the all-comers record or something like that. And then the next morning we woke up and it's like wet and windy and cold. And I remember seeing Sinead, she was like just behind like the starting sort of bunting, like trying to just like get out of the wind. And I'm like, I'm guessing you're not going for that time today. She's like, nah. She was just hating it. So hopefully you get better weather than it was last year.
Sinead has terrible luck with weather. She brings the wind everywhere she goes.
So good luck, and look forward to catching up on the Gold Coast in 4 weeks or so.
Yeah.
Moose, what do you got coming up?
Just, up here on holiday, mate. I'm going to do a workout tomorrow, and I'm going to do a workout Friday, and that's it. Hopefully we get some beach time so I can come back with a suntan.
Very good. All right, we'll just rattle off a few things here. So, we've got Launceston coming up this weekend. Paris Diamond League's on the 9th of June, and there's going to be a world record attempt in the 2 mile by Jakob Ingebrigtsen. So, watch that on YouTube. World Mountain Running Champs are this week, and some information about the Gold Coast live show, Moose. We had some info come through today. So, as we said before, we're partnering up with Lululemon. It's going to be a free event, but spots will be limited. And tickets will be available next week, with Patreons getting first bite of the cherry. The event's going to be held at the QT, and there's going to be space and time afterwards for people to hang out and celebrate, their races from that day. There's also going to be a shakeout run on the Friday, and details about that will be shared closer to the date. The monthly, which I feel like it's been a month coming. So that's coming out, I think, this week with Brady, Toby and Christian. And, Road to Gold Coast episode 4 will also be dropping in the next couple of days. So that's it for episode 292. Thanks again, Ellie.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
See you in a few weeks. See you, Moose.
See you, mate. Thank you for hosting.
No worries. Can't wait for Brady to come back. See ya.
See ya.
Enter the 2023 Gold Coast Marathon now and run your best race this July. 60% of runners achieve a PB at this event, and you can too. Head to goldcoastmarathon.com.au to enter now.